Welcome back, guys. So I really want to turn this into a series that I can do once a week. And you've all heard of Mount Rushmores. So I'm going to do Mount Rushmores of WWE, where I'm going to mention a lot of guys that fits that category. And then I'm going to name the three that for me is on Mount Rushmore. And then I'm going to let you guys decide who the fourth one would be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this series. I'm going to try my best to make it a series. Give me some suggestions of what I should do Mount Rushmore. And I really hope you guys get invested in this because I think I'm going to enjoy this a lot. So the first one is the Mount Rushmore of big guys. Now, for me, big guy, you're probably 6'6" or above and 350 pounds or above. So that's roughly the criteria I'm working on. So here's a couple of guys, and then you must pick who's the fourth one. I'll leave my three to last, but you'll probably figure out just by me going through this who I have on there. So Kamala, the Ugandan giant, he was such a terrifying force with his handler wrestling barefoot, his belly slaps, all those things. He was a terrifying beast back in the 80s, early 90s, and I think he deserves a spot on not necessarily the Mount Rushmore of big guys, but on my list of it's probably like top 20 or so. Next is One Man Gang, nearly 500 pounds, and this was not Akeem the African Dream. No, not him. The One Man Gang, the guy who literally was a one-man gang, the guy who hailed from the mean streets, and he put quite a few guys to the test, quite a few of the upper card guys. He put them to the test as a monster heel. Next, I wasn't personally a big fan. King Kong Bundy, the human thumb, weighing about 450 pounds. Of course, he had a WrestleMania main event with Hulk Hogan. Should he have been there? Probably not, but is he still a really good guy? Or really good big guy? Absolutely. Next is Big John Studd. It's literally in his name. He was big. He was a legit 7'1". Now, apparently there was a whole thing with him and Andre the Giant where he stepped over the top ropes, and Andre didn't like that because that's Andre's thing. So they had a bit of a backstage argument going. But Big John Studd still an absolute massive mountain of a man. Umaga. So he was around when I was a late teenager, Umaga was 2005, I think. So I was late teens, 18, 19, 20, 21, around there when Umaga was around. And I loved Umaga so much. He is so athletic, so destructive, such a monster. He was just one of the best heels the company had. Of course, with the $1 billion haircut, that should not have happened. Umaga shouldn't have been involved in that because that just buried him. But Umaga, such an absolute beast. Next is Psycho Sid Vicious, Sid, what do you want to call him? The guy is the master and ruler of the universe. He said that himself. Was he the most eloquent talker? No. Was he truly an intimidating big guy? Absolutely. Next, we have Rikishi. I'm not talking about Make a Difference Fatu, any of those. I'm talking about Rikishi. The thong-wearing, happy-go-lucky, borderline main event, absolute face over like Rover, 400-pound stink face monster. Next, we have Diesel, 7 foot tall, and like there's someone, I think his name was Cass or Castian or Big Cass or Large Castovian or something like that. He said, or not him, it was his tiny little friend who said, you can't teach that. Was Diesel pushed a little bit above his ability? Probably, but he was really good in the Shawn Michaels bodyguard role. Next, we have Bruiser Brody. Madman. He was like super fiercely protective of his madman deranged gimmick, and it absolutely worked for him. Earthquake, nearly 500 pounds before he turned into the Shark. I'm talking about Earthquake. John Tenta was legitimately a really good sumo wrestler, just an absolute beast of a big guy. Big Boss Man. He was the size of probably an offensive lineman in NFL, but he moved like a linebacker. The guy moved like someone half his size. Big Boss Man Ray Traylor, such a good big guy, so underrated. Next, Mark Henry, legitimately at one point the strongest man in the world. And there's not a lot of people that would debate that he's one of the best big guys to ever do it. Next, we have Gorilla Monsoon. Now, most of you that watched wrestling way back in the days would know him as a commentator, but he was actually a fierce, destructive monster heel back in his wrestling days. Next, the Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow. Scott Bigelow, I was such a fan of Bam Bam Bigelow. Just his absolute athleticism for such a big guy. The flame head tattoos, the singlet, everything was just so perfect for his character. Next, Vader. I always say Vader and Bam Bam are two of the most underutilized big guys in WWE history. If you see the work Vader did in... Oh, by the way, this is WWE Mount Rushmore, not any other promotion, WWE's Mount Rushmore. If you saw the work Vader did in WCW and in New Japan, you'd know what he would have been capable of in WWE if it wasn't for a certain backstage group that kind of held him down. Next, Kane. He was originally supposed to be just a couple of appearances with the whole Undertaker storyline, but then he got so over that, I mean, he had a almost 20-year career, about a 20-year career from what was supposed to be just a couple of appearances. Next, we have the Big Show. His height has been disputed so many times. Is he 7'2"? Is he 6'11"? Is he 7'3"? Is he just 7 foot? Doesn't matter. He's still a genuinely big guy. And in his younger days, he could actually do a kip up. He could do a drop kick, missile drop kick from the top rope, and all of those kinds of things. So out of those guys, or if there's anybody I left out, except for the three I'm going to mention now, let me know who should be on the Mount Rushmore. And now, those are my kind of honorable mentions of who the fourth one should be picked out of. And now for the 4 best big guys to ever work in WWE. Number 3, or in no specific order, but let's go for number 3, Yokozuna. If you speak to anybody, Yokozuna is one of the most underrated guys ever. Undertaker and him, they were famously very close backstage. They were both part of the same backstage group. Now, I've listened to a lot of podcasts about wrestling. If you listen to some podcasts, Mark Henry, he said that Yoko could actually dunk a basketball at his size. He could move like people half his size, even less. He was so agile for a guy of his size. Next, we have, and some people disagree with me about this, I don't know what you're talking about, it's Andre the Giant. He is arguably the best big guy to ever step foot in any ring. The biggest attraction wrestling has ever seen. And then lastly, on my Mount Rushmore of big guys, it's got to be The Undertaker, right? If anybody disagrees with this. Now, is he really 7 foot tall or 6'11"? No. Undertaker has said on numerous occasions on his podcast, by the way, 6 Feet Under, you need to watch it if you like wrestling content. He said on numerous occasions he's 6'8", but he's still a big dude. Undertaker, in my opinion, should be and will be on the Mount Rushmore of big guys. So let me know who's the fourth one, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please consider subscribing. Until next time, peace.